Being nice is not what's costing you the room, and the research actually backs that up. Most women have been handed the wrong diagnosis for years, and they've been adjusting themselves based on that wrong diagnosis. The difference between a woman who commands a room and one who gets talked over is not how agreeable she is. It's something far more specific, and we're going to get into that right now. There's a word that gets used to explain why capable women don't rise, and the choice of that word is wrong. Most people treat niceness and kindness as synonyms. They're not. That confusion is doing real damage. Kindness means acting with genuine care while maintaining healthy boundaries. It's strength directed outward. People pleasing, which is what most people are actually calling niceness or being nice, means sacrificing your own needs to avoid disapproval. It's fear, dressed up as generosity. You don't lose influence by being kind. You lose influence when you stop being honest. The woman who tells you the truth with grace is far more powerful than the one who tells you what you'll want to hear. But here's where it gets more nuanced. Because the world doesn't always reward women the same way it rewards men for the same behavior. That changes the strategy entirely. There is an actual documented phenomenon that explains why doing everything right still sometimes feels like it's not working. Research consistently shows that women are held to a contradictory standard. Be warm enough to be liked and competent enough to be respected simultaneously. Lean too far towards warmth and your authority gets questioned. Lean too far towards assertiveness and your likability takes the hit. This is not a personal failure. It's a structural challenge that requires a structural response. By the way, if you're a woman who wants to stand out in a powerful, positive, and uplifting manner because you stand for something important to you, then this channel is for you. The goal is not to become tougher. Toughness is not the answer to a perception problem. The goal is to become clearer in your words, in your tone, your body language, and your intent. Now, one of the most persistent myths out there is that agreeable people never get ahead, and the data tells a very different story. The idea that you have to choose between being liked and being powerful is one of the most damaging things women in professional spaces have been told. The evidence does not support the claim that nice people never get ahead. That is simply not what the research shows. Moderate agreeableness is consistently associated with stronger relationships, better teamwork, and more durable influence over time. The problem is not agreeableness. It's when agreeableness slides into conflict avoidance and you start skipping the conversations that actually matter. Now, I can tell you from experience that you don't want to avoid these conversations, but at the same time, these conversations can be difficult. One that comes to mind is when I was just starting off as a television reporter, and I was asked to participate in a marketing episode that was going to happen. And they were bringing in a very famous Hollywood star. She was known worldwide. And I knew what she was being paid. She was not being paid in dollars. She was being paid in product. And I decided, because I was also being asked to participate in this, to demand the same. Not the dollars, but being paid in product. The same as this Hollywood star. And I held my ground. Now, mind you, I didn't get ugly. I wasn't aggressive. I didn't disrespect anybody in the room with whom I was negotiating. Actually, I admired them. I respected them greatly, but I knew what I wanted and I held my ground. Believe it or not, I got it. So I can tell you, you don't always get what you want, but it is important to have those conversations that aren't always easy or agreeable. The moment you stop saying what's true because you're afraid of how it's going to land, that's the moment you start losing the room. It's not your niceness that costs you credibility. It is the silence you keep to protect everyone else's comfort, especially your own. Which brings us to the piece that actually changes how other people respond to you. And it may not be what you're expecting. Most women believe that saying yes, many of us believe that saying yes more often makes us more likable. Yet the opposite is actually true. Research suggests that people who communicate expectations clearly, say no when it is appropriate, and follow through consistently are perceived as more trustworthy and more credible, not less. When you always say yes, people stop trusting your yes because they know it costs you absolutely nothing to say it. The problem was never kindness. The problem is confusing kindness with self-abandonment, you might call it. Boundaries don't push people away. They tell people exactly where they can count on you. And when people know where they can count on you, that is when your influence actually begins to grow. The woman in the room who is clear about what she will and won't do is almost always the woman everyone quietly respects the most. And the way you deliver that clarity, the voice, the posture, the steadiness is what determines whether people read it as confident or combative. That distinction is absolutely everything. Every shift we covered today comes down to one thing: being clear enough about who you are that the room doesn't get to decide who you are for you. Now, you're probably wondering how to hold someone accountable when a boundary actually gets crossed. Click the video on the screen, and I'll show you exactly how to do that without burning the relationship.